Right, now, it's okay if those 3 questions aren't 100% done. You're just trying to get your mind set into remembering what the hero's journey archetype, the first stage of departure, was like. So we're going to be reading a short story titled The Drummer Boy of Shiloh. I'm going to be reading through the story relatively quick, but we are going to be taking a few pauses to answer some kid cues together. Those are the key idea and detail questions that you see pop up in the My Notes column. What I'm going to ask you folks to do in a moment is I'm going to have you pull out a highlighter if you don't have one already. And while we're reading, I want you to attempt to highlight what events you believe fit the 3 steps of the departure stage. So what event in the story do you believe might be the call to adventure? Which one do you believe might be the refusal of the call? And which might you believe to be the beginning of the adventure? So go ahead and pull that highlighter out if you haven't already. And like I said earlier, we are going to be taking pauses to answer some of those kid cues. But for now, let's go ahead and start reading The Drummer Boy of Shiloh. So we're going to pause here, and I want you to look in the right-hand column at that kid cue all the way at the bottom. So could you read that kid cue for us, please, Elijah?
What indication in the story shows that the boy?
Okay, now within the very first paragraph alone, there's some hints, some details that are proving that this boy is afraid, that he's fearful. What might some of those details be? It's in the first paragraph. What do you think, Alicia? Nice. Alicia pulled out a really good quote, how the boy, in silence, he could hear his heartbeat. It's going away, away. So he's hearing it kind of thump in his chest, and then how it starts backing off. Do you ever have that happen to you? You can feel like the blood rushing in your ears because you're nervous or scared of something? That's a great point. What else? What did you see, Logan?
At midnight, a teacher on miraculously on a branch through winter with Firebird, felt swift and unseen, struck my panic, restricted the boy, right?
So which portion of that is making you go, all right, he's fearful at this moment?
There's the boy, right?
Yeah, this verb, this jerked. Have you ever woken up from a dream and your body is kind of jerked awake like, oh, it's okay. Has that ever happened? Okay, so these are moments that are showing that this boy right now, he's feeling a little bit fearful. All right, we're going to go ahead and pick up where we left off. Make sure you write your response in that My Notes column too. I want you to take a look all the way in the left-hand column. There's 3 sets of key idea and detail questions. The first key idea detail question, I want you to actually cross off. So the one that says at the beginning, go ahead and cross that off. We're not going to bother with it. But the 2 others we'll get ready to answer. So the second question is asking, what's significant about how Joey joins the Army? Okay, think back to when you were learning about the Civil War and what a drummer boy was, generally the age of a drummer boy. Do you guys remember about the age span of what a drummer boy was? Do you have an idea? What are you thinking of, Paris?
Like, young, like 16.
Okay, Paris said, young, maybe like 16, 15. He's on the right track. The drummer boys were very, very young teenagers. At the time, the youngest, most young boys could enroll was 14. Michael?
Was it like 12 or 17?
Some of them were younger, depending on the actual war that was happening, depending on the year. 100% they could have been younger. So Joey is silent when the general asks him, did you join legitimately? Why do you think he was silent? Why do you think, Nathan? Wait. Starts with the man, Nicholas. Why do you think, Nicholas? Okay, perhaps because he ran away from home. He doesn't want the general to know. What could be another reason? What do you think, Owen?
His parents died.
Okay, perhaps his parents passed. How would that affect him?
There's like nobody to take care of him, so he ran away.
Okay, no one could take care of him, so that's why he might run away. Yes?
He ran away to get more money for his family?
Maybe he ran away to grab money for his family. Now, at the very beginning of the story, they said he just turned 14. Joining legitimately means you're of age, that you consent, I am this age to join. So, having that in mind, why do you think he was silent? Christian?
Was he scouted?
Maybe he was scouted. Logan?
He wasn't old enough.
He probably wasn't old enough yet. So, talking about the significance of how he joined the Army, this kid, maybe at 12, maybe at 13, a child took it upon himself to not only lie, but to join the Army knowing that he could die. You think there's a lot of 12-year-old boys that go, yes, I'm in love with the drum and no gun, I'm going to war. No, I'm going to go with no. This kid had a lot of gumption to go ahead and do that. I'd say that's pretty darn significant. Sure, he lied, but this kid's character is shining through. In the beginning of his adventure, so to speak, he chose to join the Army. All right, let's go ahead and continue reading so we can answer that next kid cue. So looking all the way at the top of page 23, we're looking at paragraph 34. So the last one on page 22, could you read that for us, please? Go for it.
The general comforts Joby by saying he also cried. Paragraph 32. What is different about why the two characters cried?
Okay. Why did Joby cry? Sitting in the dark. Why was he crying?
He's scared.
Jordan said he's scared. 100%. This kid's frightened. Realization of, I might die. That's pretty big. Now, why was the general crying? Joby's scared about himself. What about the general?
The general is scared about, like, after the war. I think it's not going to be the same because the North and South will still have conflict between each other.
Okay, perhaps the general is crying because the world that he will know later won't be the same. What else are you thinking, Jacob?
He might not come home.
Okay, perhaps the general's not going to come home.
He might miss his family.
Perhaps he's missing his family.
The general is crying because he's worried that the war will last on and on and on, and it won't stop.
Okay, good point. Jordan went back to paragraph 32 and she pulled out, well, he says that he's worried that the war is not going to stop. So he could be crying because he is thinking about himself, but he's crying more so because he's thinking about other people. He's worried about his men. He's worried about what's going to happen with the nation in itself. Go ahead and mark those items down, and we're going to pick up in our reading. And that last kid question, it's on page 23 in that, right about that My Notes column. It's asking us to summarize the drummer boy's importance according to what the general is telling him. So I want you to take about, let's say, 2 minutes to discuss it with your family, and then we'll have a group discussion. You can write what you're having a conversation about with your family in the My Notes column too. I take about 2 minutes to talk it through with your family, and then we'll come back. Seems like a lot of you kind of finished up your conversation, writing stuff down. All the things I'm hearing were great ideas. That whole concept of a drummer boy, we know that they're young boys, maybe an older teenager, maybe. So these boys, they don't have guns, they don't have any kind of armor, so to speak. They're kind of left out on the battlefield. But even though they're really young, they're extremely vital to a battlefield. Okay, think back in the 1800s, thinking back in 1862, as the book is telling us. For the general to get his orders out to his men, he can't scream loud enough across many battlefields. What's his tool to give orders to his men? Drummer boy, right. The drummer boy is the one that goes ahead, does the rat-tat-tat on the drum to get these boys to understand, hey, we're going in this direction, we're going in that direction. So if the general goes down, as he said, what's the drummer boy's role? What does he have to do if the general were to die on the battlefield? Yeah.
Command the army?
He's got to command the army. He's the one that has to keep setting the pace. Go, go, go. We're not going to stop. Keep going. So Joby's got to understand that, yeah, you are a kid. Yeah, all you've got is a drum. But without you, the general has nothing. What was the term that he called Joby? Not only this drummer boy, but he called him something else. What was that, Taylor? He called him the heart of the army. Absolutely. So I would certainly write at some point in your summary, he's the heart of the army. That's a really good quote to use to summarize Joby's importance. Now, once you've got that down, I want you to go ahead and look on page, it should be 25. Page 25 is where you're going to see step 5, and that's where we're going to pick up.